Hello and welcome to another flip learning session in physical education for Acklam Grange School. Today's session is about the components of a healthy diet. As with all of our sessions, I advise you to grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and feel free to pause, stop, rewind the video at any point if you want to hear things again. And the beauty of this being a flip learning session is that you can watch this anywhere, either at home, on your phone, on the move. And I would also advise you to bring your earphones to the session to the session in the school, in the lesson, so that you can actually refer back to this video at any point if you need some help or support throughout the lesson. Okay, so our learning objectives is to understand the functions of all 7 essential components of a healthy diet, so that you can see how a balanced diet contributes to a healthy lifestyle. And that's really important because not only will you have to talk about the 7 essential components in the exam, you won't necessarily just be asked what are the 7 components. You may have to explain it in a more of an extended piece of writing where you're talking about what contributes to a balanced diet and how that then contributes to a healthy lifestyle. So if we look at the 7 essential components, they're all there. I'm not going to read them all for you, you can see them all there, but I'm going to go through them one by one and talk to you a little bit about what they are, where you can find them, and why it's important for our body. So the first one, carbohydrates. These are really important for sportsmen and women, certainly in sport, because it's really specific to high intensity, and it's really our main source of energy when we're thinking about what we should our intake for sport. We constantly talk about carbohydrates and that being a huge source of energy. Now there are 2 types of carbohydrates, as you can see there: complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. And if you look at the foods that are in the example foods there in the brackets of complex and simple, you can start to see that actually the complex carbohydrates are the healthier option of the 2. The only downside of that is that they take a lot longer to yield energy and to produce that. So things like cereal and pasta, they're more of a slow release energy, and they tend to produce energy for a lot longer periods of time, but throughout the day or throughout an event. Whereas the simple carbohydrates are actually a real quicker source of energy. So you may hear of people eating some kind of sugary or jam or sweets based substances at half time or before an event or right before an event, because that gives you that instant boost of energy. Whereas you wouldn't necessarily have a whole bowl of pasta or a bowl of cereal right before an event. That's the type of thing you'd have in the morning to give that slow release energy. And it's really the advice is that should take up 60% of an athlete's diet, really. And it's important when we look at a balanced diet, and we'll come back to this later, that we have these essential components in moderation. And just because carbohydrates or complex carbohydrates are more healthy than simple carbohydrates, it doesn't mean to say we should just pack our diet with 100% of carbohydrates. It should be 60% really, and that's the guidelines. Right, moving on. Fats. And fats are our other main source of energy, really, but these are for low intensity endurance exercises and for our everyday movements and general kind of work rate throughout the day. And this really should be really carefully monitored, because if we have a diet that has too many, a high percentage of fats, and we're eating too many fats, then this can cause obesity, and obviously it can cause us to gain weight significantly, and that's an issue. However, on the flip side, it's really important that we do eat fats, and we shouldn't think of fats as negative all the time, because it helps us protect our organs. And as sportsmen and women, that's really important, because with the physical contact and the physical nature of a lot of our sports, we need to be able to actually protect our organs, and we need to have an element of fat within the body to do that. So don't think of them as negative, and we shouldn't eat fats. They are very important for us, but again, it's how we eat them in moderation. It should be roughly 30% of the calorie intake, as it says there, and we've got 2 types of fats: saturated and unsaturated fats. And you can see there the different food types that make up those different fats. Right, on to proteins. Proteins are really important for us because they help repair our body, and that's really important when we are training or when we're competing, and our muscle fibers damaged, and or we injure ourselves, or we break the skin and we cut ourselves, and all those types of things that happen through sport, that our body needs to repair, and it needs to repair quickly, because if we're training the next day, or we're competing in 2 days' time, or whatever it is, our body needs to build up those stores, so that we can actually repair ourselves very, very quickly and get back to a state where we're able to compete or to train again. It also produces hemoglobin, and with your science hats on, when you start to use your cross-curricular links with science, you'll know that that's very, very important for the body, and that's really an important part of our healthy diet, and it's really important. We're looking at the meat, fish, and poultry, and it's got only 15% of our calorie intake, but that's still quite significant. Right, onto minerals. These help build our bones, and that's very important, because we can't have our bones becoming brittle and easily breakable. Two main types there. We've got iron and calcium, and the iron is, again, we're talking about hemoglobin, like we were in the last slide. Very important, because it carries oxygen in the blood, and that's really important for that to get around the body, and for that to enable us to be efficient as not only a human being, but also as an athlete. And calcium, we'll commonly find that in milk, and you've probably been told before, and you might start making that connection now to why you were told to drink milk at primary school or at home, and the fact they'll give you, it'll help your teeth, or it'll help your bones, and it'll give you strong bones. Well, that's exactly why it is, because it's high in calcium, and it's a source of minerals. Right, on to vitamins. This helps prevent disease, and it helps develop, because of that, it develops a healthy immune system, and that's really important. We get these from fresh fruit and vegetables, and as an athlete or a sportswoman, we can't really have our body affected by disease and by colds and those sorts of things, because it will reduce our performance, and it's very important to try and prevent diseases and colds and the common cold and things getting to us, so we can be on top of our game, rather than those things affecting our performances. Fibre. This is really important, because we need to get rid of waste products from the body, and it's really important to for effective bowel function. And you may have been told this before about making sure you eat fibre, so you can actually get rid of those waste products and get to the toilet and get rid of those. They're found in generally plant-based foods, fruit, vegetables, cereal, those sorts of things, and it's important that we think about this and think about, well, if we can't get rid of those waste products through the body, then our body can't function as it should do. We're carrying extra products we don't need to, and also if we aren't able to get rid of waste products, then really it almost starts to poison the body to a certain extent, and we need to be able to do that, and we need to be able to function as a good athlete. Right, and the last one is water. This is one that is commonly forgotten by a lot of people when we're talking about the different essential components to a healthy diet, because we kind of think of the things that we eat, and water, we don't obviously eat water, so sometimes it's missed, and this is really important, because it's hugely important in terms of carrying nutrients around the body. It also helps to remove waste products, and it kind of flushes those out, and it regulates our body temperature, and it's so important for us to make sure we have we don't become dehydrated, and because of that, the body loses water through urine and sweat, and it's important that when we are sweating heavily, or when we're going to the toilet, and there's increased urine production due to exercise and things like that, that actually we replace the water that we're getting rid of through the waste products, and that we don't become dehydrated, because then dehydration leads to a lot of different factors that actually decrease performance, and it's very, very important that we stay hydrated throughout our performances, and make sure we're on the top of our game. And like I say, you've probably done lots of that already in PE, and probably in science as well, and it's nothing new. It's just to remember that the water is an essential part of our balanced diet. So they're the 7 different areas. That's really a kind of a brief whistle-stop tour of those, and to really get you thinking about where we find those and why they're very important for us as sportsmen and women. Bringing all that together now, we need to look at, well, how do we then conduct a healthy lifestyle? Because it's okay saying we know what the 7 essential components are now, but how then do we as human beings conduct a healthy lifestyle? A list of 5 different things there that are very, very simple, and again, it's not rocket science. Not smoking. It doesn't say don't drink alcohol. It's talking about limiting the alcohol intake. And one of the important factors there to think about is that alcohol dehydrates the body. And there's lots of stories of athletes who've had alcohol tests, prior to training and those sorts of things. And the reason that's important, because I didn't used to think it was that important as a young person. I thought, well, does it really matter if a professional footballer has 4 or 5 or 6 pints of lager or a few whiskies or whatever the night before, and then goes to bed and then trains the next day? Well, it's the next day, and it's probably worn off by then. When you start looking at it scientifically, though, it dehydrates the body, and then if they're dehydrated by only 10%, then it can have a really significant effect on the performance the next day. And as we know now with professional sport, the margins between success and failure are very, very, very small, and those margins are very crucial. So being dehydrated to a professional footballer who's about to train the next day is very, very significant. And the reason alcohol dehydrates the body is because it increases the urine production. And as we talked about before, with urine, if you're drinking and then you're constantly at the toilet, you're producing urine, that's dehydrating the body. So that's something to think about. Third one down there, get regular rest and sleep. It sounds obvious, but by staying up too late or not resting, if you're competing or you're an athlete and you have a heavy training schedule, it's very important to get proper rest. And what we mean by proper rest is actually letting the body rebuild and repair between our training schedules. And if that doesn't happen, that's when injury starts to happen, because our body hasn't repaired fully and it's not recovered. So actually the extra stress on the body, if it hasn't recovered, then starts to increase the risk of injury. And you see lots of athletes who don't get regular rest, or not enough, or not sufficient or quality rest, start to be more injury prone. And that's when coaches and managers and sports scientists really start to look into, well, why are these people getting injured? And sometimes they're not getting the correct regular rest and sleep to let their bodies repair throughout the training cycles. One thing that I was told as a coach before I came into PE teaching was that the next session starts the minute the first session finishes, and that was all about actually the next session starts by resting and recovering, and when you start to get into that mindset and you start looking after your body, then you become a lot more responsible and a lot more efficient as an athlete. Regular exercise, the current guidelines, I think they're 1 hour 5 times a week, and if you constantly exercise, and then that's really important, to the body, because it also helps. It helps to maintain your body weight. It's not that healthy to be constantly fluctuating and losing weight and putting weight on and that sort of stuff. It's nice to be able to maintain a correct, an efficient body weight, and that then links into the next point about eating a balanced diet, because we need to use and eat those 7 different areas of those components in moderation, not to eat too much of anything, but to have that nice balanced diet to make sure we're getting all of those components, and with that, then hopefully we can actually maintain a balanced kind of body weight, so we're not kind of fluctuating up and down all the time. Okay, that's it. That's what that we need to look at, and that's what we need to know really before the lesson about a healthy diet. When you come into the lesson, we'll do a question and answer session. We'll look at how well we've taken on board the information. I want you to really put your science hats on as well and use your cross-curricular science knowledge, and that'll be really essential for this topic. So great. Hope you've taken on board that. Feel free to rewind and pause it, go back again, watch it again, take some notes, and I will see you in class. Okay, thank you, bye.